When you think of Hellsing, you immediately think about its incredibly clean art style and characters that just ooze aura. The whole atmosphere is dominated by bombastic scenes filled to the brim with insanity just about to explode. But what I can also guarantee is that you are mostly remembering Hellsing Ultimate. Hellsing in itself wasn't always the stylish show that it is now. And when you look at older Hellsing... No, not the old anime. No, not the new manga chapters. Well, we're getting closer. Perfect. Stop right here. Because this is where it all began. Hirano's original take on Hellsing, Legend of Vampire Hunter. And if you know Hirano, of course you know that this was born. But let's look at the art style. It's not that good. But why would it? This is never supposed to reach a big audience. So why would you actually try hard for something that's never going to amount to anything? The lines are scribbled and uncertain, and while this in itself can work as an art style itself, in here it looks more like a rough sketch than an actual professional manga. But it clearly inspired Hellsing and led to the first serialization of Hellsing in a magazine called Young King Hours. You can still see here that Hirano had some experience as an artist, but a lot of his early panels just don't look too appealing. But don't get me wrong here, it's not like he can't draw. Just looking at the first Hellsing manga cover clearly shows that he has quite some skill. But implementing that into a lot of individual panels is hard. Very hard. One thing that I think reflects the character of Hirano is his attention to detail where he wants it. While ornaments, symbols and technical aspects, for example, on his guns are carefully crafted in great detail, the faces look relatively flat and are even often obstructed by shadows and hair. While this looks amazing when you focus these things, it also creates an issue that clashes with another aspect of his character. He is notoriously lazy and is almost unable to replicate these details on all of his panels. That's why a lot of the time he uses shadows or perspective to just blend out certain features he initially liked, but then became too bothersome to draw each single time again. But if we want to do this methodically, let's start from the beginning and look at the first Hellsing manga, and immediately we see one of his early issues. Proportions. Older works use these extremely long and slender builds, with really long legs as a choice of style. Good examples here are Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Code Geass, Fist of the North Star, and there are many more. And while this can work, it still needs to be balanced. And some of Hirano's older panels just look weird. I mean, just look at the proportions here.
So, there we have it. Let's look at it. Just look at the guy here. These proportions don't look good, right? Dude got way too much legs, but it's getting worse. Also here, looking a little bit elongated. Also here, if you clearly look, Sarah's has very long legs compared to her torso, but the worst panel is still to come. Here, it's this one. What is wrong with Anderson here? The legs, the arms. Dude looks like a gorilla. Jesus, just look at those. Doesn't look too healthy. Same here for Walter. Mini torso 1, 2, almost 3 times the length. The dude.
He also suffers from an extremely difficult case of blob face.
Here, dude straight up looks like a worm. Look at this face. Nothing, man. No detail at all. Here again. Oh, this image. It's like Alucard looks different in every panel. Or this one. Jesus.
I don't even think I have to explain this further. Also, sometimes character features are pretty detailed, while other parts just look cartoonish. Also, a lot of the guns look better than the faces. The man has his priorities straight. But all in all, on his first attempts, a lot of characters look really inconsistent. And there's one more thing I want to add. For someone who has produced as much porn as Hirano, he just can't draw women. And before you claim, but Integra and Rip look amazing, hear me out. Here's one type of character that he really excels at. Tall, slender, long hair, foxy eyes. All the women and men that have these features look really good. And if you look at another of his works, Drifters, this scheme works extremely well for him. You can see the evolution in Sarah's. When she eventually became a real vampire, she looks amazing. But before? Well, she pretty much has the looks of a blow-up doll. And an especially cheap one as well. But this is only the beginning, because his art is improving rapidly. I mean, it still sometimes looks a little off, but the work became more detailed, and here we get to experience a stylistic choice that works super well for Hellsing, which is the almost completely blacked out panel. This just matches the theme of the show and fits perfectly for its characters. These people are killers, and it puts them super well in the spotlight. Hellsing's story mostly happens at night and handles this topic extremely well, the theme of fear. A real vampire doesn't fear the night and its creatures. Humans are instinctively afraid of the dark. Our main sense of perceiving reality, our sight, isn't working during the night, and when we aren't in a safe environment, just a small noise can get unsettling really fast. That's why the almost completely black panels work so well in showing the difference in character. While some are afraid, others live in it and are essentially one with it, only artistically separated by thin white lines. Some of the hardest earlier panels were already on volume 2, and we can clearly see that Hirano is taking his work much more serious. In volume 3, we can see another very interesting side of how Hirano wants to portray its characters. On the one side, we have a completely suited up and charming Alucard, who looks way more feminine than in the beginning. He is certainly an attractive person, and can produce quite a lot of tension. This of course is in stark contrast to his monstrous being, which is portrayed by extremely uncomfortable poses, where he looks almost distorted. This symbolizes that he's a beast at his core, and just not a suave vampire. Always remember, Alucard is not nice. Also, I want to explain one stylistic element that Hirano loves to use, which is the blacked out body, eyes only motif. If you think of it, it doesn't really work that way in reality. But this isn't supposed to resemble reality, but more showcase something else. It's kind of a predator scheme that you see in cats or owls, where their eyes have a certain reflective element in them. You almost can't see their body, only a pair of glowing eyes in the dark. Humans don't have that, and it triggers a feeling of getting preyed on, which is extremely uncomfortable. You'll only see this for characters that are on the hunt, and never for weak characters or preyed on characters. It emits a sense of preparedness for violence, and perfectly fits the characters he's using that imagery on. I personally think a lot of these panels are just oozing style. But let's continue with the topic. Volume 4 and 5 mark a point where he made the biggest improvements in terms of kinematics. Movements feel a lot more dynamic. You can feel the weight of certain actions, and it just looks a lot more polished. The amount of detail here is also amazing, and the general choices of how to portray certain scenes and emotions is very good. Of course, you see some panels that look a little off, but they don't break the immersion at all. This is where I'd say Hellsing has some of the best art out there. From here, it keeps getting darker and more detailed, because the story is ramping up slowly. And when we compare modern iterations of the old characters, we can see just how far Hirano has gotten with his art. Furthermore, the scribbled thin lines have become dark and thick, and the attention to detail and use of confidently placed lines give these characters so much expression. You can literally feel the weight of certain scenes. Also, he has at this point a very great feeling for distortion. And instead of looking off, it perfectly enhances the emotion he wants to portray. The scene where Sarah bites Bernadotte is just amazing. And I think here we are reaching Hirano's magnum opus, which is the fight of Alucard versus Anderson. What makes this fight so special from an artistic standpoint are the characters themselves. Alucard reverts to his original form, where we see another side in him. A certain softness, almost tender. His interactions are unlike him. He is not teasing Integra or looking down on Sarah's. He is intimidating, but also genuinely caring about these two young women. His eyes and facial features are much more mellow. And while he looks manlier with the beard and sharp lines, he also transmits a certain warmth that we have never seen in his character. But at the same time, he's still a fierce opponent. This perfectly mirrors Anderson, who is a caring father for the orphans, but also a religious fanatic. The stark contrast between Anderson and Alucard in the first volume and the 8th is just amazing. There's no character as zealous as Anderson, and you can clearly see it in the way he is portrayed. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and he is willing to risk it all. The way the strain on his mind and body is portrayed just looks perfect. It's also the first time that we see a character that is fully prepared to die marching forward. The panels are designed in a way to show the completely disadvantaged in numbers. And even though his regeneration is broken and he is outnumbered 1 million to 1, he's still pushing on. These panels just go so damn hard. And all to be ending in this single panel. It is also the only case of a human really gritting their teeth and using sheer willpower to actually attempt to kill a monster. This is just me personally, but nothing in the series managed to excite me as much as the final fight between Anderson and Alucard, which climaxes at this scene. Don't get me wrong, the rest of Hellsing is still super fun and looks amazing, but I really think this is the peak of Hellsing in terms of artistry, storytelling, and tension building, where the arguably two most loved characters clash in an all-or-nothing fight to the death. But here we can also see how much Urano has evolved over time, from drawing scribbled smut to creating some of the greatest art and visual storytelling in anime. And if you want to know more about the storytelling and characters, I would advise you to either check my half-hour analysis about the major, or whatever my video will be displayed down on the right. Also thanks for Manga Guardian sponsoring the video, Sleepy15 for 15% off your whole order, and see you in the next one. Bye!